Greetings, YouTube. When a woman goes out socializing or on a date and something goes bad, everyone has advice. Everyone tells her what she should have done. Most times when a woman goes out on a date, she makes sure that there are certain things are done. She informs people that she's going on a date. She gives the information about the person that she's going on the date, at least the information she has. And there's always the doubt whether that guy has actually given her the correct information. Yes, I am just speaking here of heterosexual relationships. She gives, itinerary. This is what we're going to do. This is when I should be home. She makes sure that people know what's going on. And that's still not enough. Sometimes things still go bad. And then the advice happens again. You should have done this, or you should have done that, or you shouldn't have gone there, or you shouldn't have gone with that person. You shouldn't have gone to that kind of an event. Well, what did you expect was going to happen? It's ugly. It's vile. It's demeaning to say those things. It's terrible that women have to do those things before they go on a date. They have to lay down the law. They have to do an investigation before they go on a date. Why? Because that's the way that they try to be safe. And what are they trying to be safe from? They're trying to be safe from being murdered, from being killed, from being raped. And if you think I'm being facetious that women get raped or murdered on dates, go look at the data. If women say no to a guy in a bar, turn down the option of giving him a number, they can get beaten or killed just because they said no. So if you think that a guy isn't going to necessarily rape or murder someone on a date, well, you've been living in a very rosy world. But under all these circumstances, what I don't ever hear, what I don't ever read, is that men telling other men or parents telling their male child, don't rape. Start it at the source. Go to the source for the problem. And the problem is with the guys. Now, I know there are going to be folks in the comment below. I can actually hear them tinkling away on their keyboards telling me that men get raped as well, and they do. And they'll tell me that men get raped at higher rates because they'll throw in the data from prisons. And it's horrible what happens to men in prisons. It really is. But in all those circumstances, in all those edgelord pieces of data they want to throw at me because they're misogynists, they seem to forget the people perpetrating these acts of violence are men. So maybe we should tell men not to rape. Maybe we should raise boys to understand what consent is. Maybe we should allow boys to understand consent is. What do I mean by allowing boys to understand what consent is? I mean making sure that kids are not forced to hug someone they don't want to hug. Whether it's a parent, a sibling, an aunt, an uncle, a cousin, doesn't matter. That simple act of telling a child, you have the right to decide if you hug somebody, that can lay the foundation of consent right there, right at the get-go. That you have control of your own body and that you can decide if somebody touches it, with the exception of being a medical emergency. All right? And that is the foundation block upon which you can build. And as they get older and they have a greater understanding of the world, you can give them more complex concepts of consent until they get to the point where they're dating people. And remember, 90% of humanity is probably straight. When they get into that activity, whatever you want to call it, of dating, they'll understand consent. And they'll understand that it's okay for them to say, no, I don't want you to touch me. And it's okay if somebody else says, no, I don't want you to touch me. And they'll also understand how important it is and what a gesture it is and what a connection is when somebody says, yes, it's okay to touch me. It's okay to hold my hand. It's okay to hug me. And all the levels of intimacy that go beyond that. We teach them that, you can talk about sex before you have sex. Talk about what you like, what you don't like, what you've tried, what you haven't tried, what seems interesting, what seems like it would really turn you off. We teach them the concept of want, will, won't. Lists of things that they want to do, things that they're willing to do because they're neutral on them, and things they don't want to do. That's all about consent. And if we teach boys that from the get-go, from the very first time, they can understand that they don't have to hug somebody if they don't want to hug somebody. And you keep building on that. Maybe women won't have to create battle plans when they go on a date. Maybe they won't have to listen to society telling them what they did wrong, because the society will look at the guy that raped them and say, that guy's an ass. He deserves to be in prison. Because that's what they belong. And I don't want to see them get hurt in prison, but I do need to see them isolated from the rest of society because they never learn what consent is. So now it's time for them to learn. And they've got the harshest lesson there is, incarceration. Well, we need to teach boys about consent, and we need to teach adult men, that they shouldn't rape because that nobody taught them consent as kids. Well, it's time now. It may be almost too late, but it's better than teaching them now and an awkward conversation than a woman being raped or killed. That seems a whole lot worse to me. So we should be having those awkward conversations with teenagers and young men and adults who are older than that. Because if you suspect that somebody may just be a person that's going to ignore consent, they should have that conversation. So let's do that. Let's teach kids what consent is. And let's make sure that adults know you shouldn't rape your date.